Members say we love the alcohol, la 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 la. Just line 'em up and we will drink them all, la 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 la. But my mother always said, if you want to drink all day, you best start in the morning, son, 'cause that's the Irish way. We don't get drunk, we get awesome, and every other mother will agree. We don't get drunk, we get awesome, so order up around for you and me. We don't get drunk, we get awesome, and every mother must agree. We don't get drunk, we get awesome, so order up around for you and me, and you and me, and you and me. Let there be whiskey.
Everybody, welcome once again to Nerds with Alcohol. I'm Russ.
And I'm Chris.
And this is episode 293, back in the virtual nerd basement. Guys, welcome and thank you for joining us again on this rather chilly Tuesday evening here in the Detroit area. This is one of those times when I am glad I am not in Florida. Like, holy smokes.
I know I had this set somewhere. Where the hell was it? Shit. All right. Screw it. Let's have to play around. Sorry. There we go. And there we go.
What?
I had to fix
What did you do?
I had to fix the chat box because I had to change it for our show last night for last week so that it fit right, and so I had to fix it for tonight. So what's up, CD?
Hey, CD, good to see ya.
But yes, it is episode 293. We are back in the nerd basement. Good to have you back, Russ. You missed last
Thank you.
week.
I missed last week and I couldn't thank you. I couldn't do last night either. But it is lovely to be back.
Yeah, it was last week was actually a lot of fun. It was cool having the Tavern Knights crew on.
Right.
So we talked about a lot of different things, and we basically just ran through a bunch of questions.
Cool, such as?
Well, some of the stuff I was able to answer for you, like, what house would the sorting hat put you in?
I'm a Gryffindor.
Yeah, exactly. You and I are both Gryffindors, and we were also talking about some of the other people that weren't on, like Rich, like which house he'd be in.
He's a Hufflepuff.
Yeah, that's what I said too. Yes, we had some dirty talk, CD. You're right.
We had dirty talk?
Yeah, we were talking about different drinks, and it was all about, like, dirty martinis, and
I see.
I want to say.
Yeah, my framing says Tavern Knights cast. It doesn't say Russ.
Oh. Yeah, hey, let's fix that. Oops.
Yeah, thanks, CD. Thanks for pointing that out. Oh, and in Florida, there's a bunch of my friends in Florida and Tampa are battening down the hatches.
Yes, that was something I was gonna do a shout out to, is all of our friends in the Tampa area and in Florida in general. Best of luck to you. I have a lot of coworkers that are in Tampa now. That's where one of our main offices is. As a matter of fact, my boss is in Tampa.
Get your plywood sheets. Those are expensive these days.
Yeah, well, it's funny. One of the guys, he actually used to live here in Michigan, and he moved down to Tampa, and this is his first hurricane. He's like, this is like my indoctrination. And I guess he's renting his house, but he's like, he saw his neighbor putting up like these metal things over the windows, like these metal covers over the windows. And he's like, those look too perfect to just be random. He's like, and they look really familiar. And he went out in his garage. He's like, sure enough, I've got them sitting in my garage. So he was going out to try and put those up today. But there was originally, I guess, I was talking with my boss today, and he said, yeah, if you listen to the crackpots on the Weather Channel, who he's like, their job is to make you as scared as possible so you keep watching.
Right.
And he said, yeah, they're talking like, Tampa's going to get 10 feet of water and all this. And he said, you listen to the local guys on like the cable affiliates, and they're like, yeah, it's going to be a little bit of water. We're not going to get that much. It's probably going to go south of us.
Yeah, actually, a lot of people, my friends in Tampa are saying that the predictions are actually that it's going to skew to the south, okay, thankfully.
The problem with this hurricane, they've said, though, is that the predictions, so they've got that cone of uncertainty that they call it, where they could go either way. And they said that that has never been truer than with this particular hurricane. This hurricane has jumped hundreds of miles outside of what they thought it was going to do. Right. So they really have no idea what it's going to do over the next day.
Yeah. Well, my friend Linda was supposed to come back to Michigan for the final weekend of Ren Fair. She was here for the first 3 weeks, and then she left the second 3 weeks to be handled by her friend Gabby, and then was going to come back for the last weekend. And it looks like her flight has now been changed to Saturday afternoon, so she's only going to get Sunday now instead of Saturday and Sunday, because they're shutting down the airport because of the weather and everything, and the predicted weather. And now they're also talking, they're like, well, if it skews over to the side here, but now they've already made all those changes.
Yep.
And now they've also already said that the airport's still probably going to be closed, because even if the rain and the storm does skew over to like further to the eastern coast, it's still going to cause a lot of weather problems.
Yeah, they're still going to get the outer bands.
Right.
I mean, as of this afternoon, I was looking at it, and Tampa was just north of the northernmost bands of the hurricane.
So my guessing is that,
and it was just coming. Still... It was just off of Cuba's coast.
Right. So it's making a goddamn mess of everything.
Yeah, they were saying Category 3. I saw it, Category 3 now. Category 4 they're expecting when it hits land, when it hits Florida.
Dear God in heaven.
Well, the Gulf is so warm that it just fuels hurricanes.
Yeah.
So
just sucks.
Just
sucks. Like Linda's not going to get the chance to do everything she wanted to do this weekend, and they're going to have to. We were looking forward to hanging out and stuff, and it's what happens. It's weather. What are you going to do? We just.
I agree with CD. I couldn't live there.
As much as I like parts of Florida, I think. Pardon me. I'm gonna excuse me. As much as I like parts of Florida and have friends down in Florida, I don't know if I could live there as well. I
couldn't year round there. That's for sure.
No, I wouldn't mind having like a home, like a winter home. I wouldn't mind snowbirding or something.
I understand the snowbird idea.
Yeah. Particularly as I got older and then started going down there for work when I was working at the festival down there. It was great, man. Got me out of Michigan for pretty much two of the crappiest months of the year. It was great.
Yep.
Was down there. I shot down there at the end of January, early February. Down there through all of February and March. Came back in early April, maybe.
Yeah, you might get one more snowstorm. Well, usually you get one more snowstorm in the beginning of April.
Maybe. There was one season.
Dude, it almost always snows on Tiger's opening day.
Yeah, or Easter.
Yeah.
But I remember coming home one year, and it was like I came home to like 70-degree weather. It was fucking gorgeous.
Yeah.
Sitting at an outdoor restaurant on in April 2nd or something like that, just like soaking up the rays. With my girlfriend at the time. I was like, this is sweet. But
hey Dutch,
that ain't like that all the time. Hey Dutchy, good to see you. Yeah, pretty lucky to live in Michigan these days. And then we're not gonna feel that lucky in mid-December.
No, and let's face
our
it,
asses off.
Fall came in with a vengeance. I mean,
dude, it kicked the door open and then slammed the door behind it.
Yeah,
like holy shit.
Yeah, Michigan went from 90 to 55 like it saw a state trooper.
Yeah. that's good. Holy shit. Oh, damn. That's great. I mean, yeah, it was like 90 on Tuesday, and then and then Wednesday it was 60. I was like, my sinuses like went, you know, and
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that's horrible.
Well,
And
so the weather changed and all that, and so I always have that same problem where my sinuses just go crazy when the weather changes. Plus, it's been raining all weekend.
right.
So, and then Saturday, I actually had made an appointment to go get my COVID booster and a shingles shot.
A shingles shot.
Yep.
That's like something you get at a bar, man, when it's singles night.
Give me a shingles shot.
Over here.
Yeah, that's what you say when you're when you're half in the bag. Give me a shingles shot. No, it's I have
a really terrible joke.
Yeah, I actually have a susceptibility to it because of other things, but it's one of the reasons why I'm getting it, just after 50 rather than at 55 or 60. But you can get it at any time, as evidenced by Renee getting shingles just a couple months ago.
Yeah, for real.
I'm lucky I didn't catch it then, because I was about to go get my vaccine then, and they're like, nope, your wife has shingles, you have to wait. You don't want to get it if you get the vaccine if you've already got the virus.
Right.
So, but I'll tell you what, it wasn't a fun weekend. I got both those vaccines, and my ass was in the recliner all weekend, feeling like shit.
Well, I mean, you had said something to the effect of like it was that you don't really feel bad, you're just exhausted.
And well, that's now. Over the weekend I felt bad. I actually felt kind of ill. It wasn't like I was overly sick, but it was like that I don't feel good type of thing.
Right on.
But yeah, I've been tired this entire time, and even today I'm still just tired. But you know what? It's getting better every day. I don't feel sick anymore, which is good.
Right on.
That's a big bonus. So,
well, that's good. How was the rest of your week then? So you got your shots.
Yeah, I mean, other than that, I mean, we had our game on Saturday, so I mean, I got my vaccines Saturday morning, and then started feeling worse and worse as the day went on. So I had my other D&D game on Saturday, and that was actually really good. They're getting pretty close to the end of this campaign, or at least this adventure, and then we have to decide, because they're not going to be level 20 by the end of it, but
still, man, getting into those level 20 numbers, man.
Well, they're probably going to be 15 or 16 by the time that they're done.
Okay.
So it's one of those things where we have to decide whether or not we want to continue on, and I'll figure something out for them to do, or if we just want to call it and start something new some other time. It'll probably be a little while. So
it's funny, like I don't think I've ever been, at least not since I was a kid, when we weren't really playing, we were kind of playing, because you're not really following the rules super well. I don't think I've ever, as a more serious player, after I got into my teen years, have I taken a character to level 20.
Yeah. Same. Yeah. Right now, my cleric in the campaign I'm playing in, he's level 13, and that's like one of the highest levels I've gone.
I think I've gotten characters up to like 16 or 17, but I've never gotten all the way up to 20. I had my Korak was my Knoll cleric, got up to 16, I think it was. Yeah, I can't. Calidor, my character from when I was in high school, he got up to about 15, I think, when we ended the campaign. It's like, and it's just because campaigns end, and we just don't end up maybe making it all the way before the campaign ends, and I'm like, I would love to see the campaigns end, get up to that level 20, do a little adventuring. Once you hit level 20, get some really kind of serious, awesome level, epic level shit done, and then you retire your characters.
Yeah. Yeah, so that was Saturday. That was a good time. And then on Sunday I watched the Lions blow a game. Um and then Renee got home from work, and her and I watched some shows. We actually caught up on a bunch of stuff. Watched Andor.
Which I still
Watched
have to catch.
Yeah, watched the first episode of Rings of Power. We'll talk about those later, but
Cool.
overall, um, uh, it wasn't bad. I mean, other than feeling like crap, it really wasn't a bad weekend. I did a little bit more painting on Orcus over the weekend,
Cool.
so he's almost done. I don't know that I'll have him all glued together and everything, but I'm hoping to have the painting done by Friday.
Right on.
But yeah, other than that, I mean, had the tavern talk show last night, which was great.
Right.
Got our game this week, so I've been working on that a little bit because I got to get ready for the next chapter for you guys.
Right. Well, it's been crazy, like work. We had I had to miss the show last week because we had our the kickoff for volunteer nights at the parade company. So I had to stay till like 9 o'clock, 9:30, I think actually is when I finally cut out, 9:30-ish. And I think I chimed in on the chat for a few minutes there too, when I was kind of leaving work. And so, yeah, just late nights all week. And we had it's just getting more and more crazy. And then I've had stuff to do with Theater Bazaar. I have had on Saturday, I had to go to the Masonic Temple, and I've been going to festival on the last few Saturdays. I had to go to the Masonic Temple to do to help set up what we call the kill room in our makeup room, which is our airbrush kind of enclosed area, so we don't basically mist out the entire place. So we had to help set that up. I also last week was busy with my grandfather's funeral and whatnot, so that was fun. Always fun. And then unfortunately, I also found out I got a call today from my mother saying, that my grandmother, that was my grandfather on my mother's side, my mother's father, my father's mother is now also going to be leaving us soon. So it was just it was a long week, and then so it has been a crazy week. I am, as much as I've been experiencing FOMO about Ren Fair whenever I'm not there, because I do see a lot of pictures from my friends and everything else, and I am one of the admins for the I'm one of the admins for the fan page. I still I see a ton of pictures, and I'm like, oh, I wish I was there, and I'm so I all weekend I kept like, no festival this weekend for me. And but I am gonna go for the last Saturday, so I'm gonna be up there for the last Saturday, and should be interesting. I did go
this week.
This coming Saturday. This coming weekend is the final weekend of the festival.
We got family stuff to do this weekend.
I thought, weren't you going to volunteer?
I was going to, and then there's family stuff at Oma's this weekend. So
I see.
And Oma Trump's festival.
Serving beer at Ren Fair.
Yeah,
I dig it. For those of you guys who might be interested, anybody listening, there is a beer opportunity at the Ren Fair. The Rescue Foundation is looking for people to volunteer to serve beer at festival for charity. The Rescue Foundation will get like 60 grand, I believe, just for serving beer for the weekend for working the pubs. And so they are looking for people that love the Ren Fair, that are dedicated to the Renaissance.
Serve
Festival.
Beer, CD, not drink beer.
Yeah, not drink it. Serve it. Just serve it. You'd have to you'd have to get on a plane, CD, and come on here from Kenosha. It says the Rescue Foundation will be pulling the permit for the final weekend, which is a 3-day weekend. We need 40 kind humans to work a full day of volunteering, all 3 days, or 40 different people each day. And actually, Danny was telling me, Danielle DuPont from the Washing Wenches, who is organizing this, she said she's actually looking for 60 people per day. All tips and profits will go to rescue. If you ever wanted to visit the Ren Fair, here's a great reason. Your beer booth service will provide funds to a charity that is pledged to the health of the company. Please pass the word around and let's do this. So if you are interested, you can, there's some information here. You can text Julia at 947-622-4270. That's 947-622-4270. And for more info, you got to be 18 or higher to serve. So, so anybody that wants to potentially get into the Ren Fair for free, serve some beer, and then maybe spend a couple hours at the festival after you're done. I think you got to do 8 hours, something like that. I think too that they'll also give you a ticket for the following day. So like if you do Friday or Saturday, you know, you'll get a ticket for at least one day after. And if you're Sunday, you're just screwed, I guess. But it does look like it will be a good time. That's about it, man. It's just work is crazy, life is crazy, everything's crazy.
Yep.
And you guys may see a little less of me in the next couple weeks because of Parade and Theater Bazaar and all that crazy shit going on in my life.
Well, the
Chris
one thing about
plenty of notice.
Theater Bazaar weekends is they don't fall on our Tavern Knights weekends because I'm out of town the first weekend of Theater Bazaar, so we're not doing Tavern Knights.
Well, shit.
So you're actually not going to miss Tavern Knights because of Theater Bazaar.
Well, that's good. Thankfully, I may miss some of these shows though, depending on as we get closer to Parade. I don't foresee it being a problem until maybe late October, and I guess when we might be doing some real late nights at the shop. So, but I will let you know, and I know that you will all miss me and the dulcet tones of my voice.
Of course we will. We will miss you.
And my nuggets of wisdom that
It's nuggets of something.
Love you. It is nuggets of something. You're right.
What are you drinking?
Well, I wasn't going to drink tonight, but then I remembered that I was gifted this lovely drink at our last gaming session, Summersby. Jardin Sauvage. Cidre.
Why don't you read the other side?
Yes. Oh, it's in English. It's in English on the other side. I was reading the French side. So
them Canadians.
Summersby Wild Garden Crushed Apple. It's a crushed apple cider, rooted in nature. 4.5 alcohol by volume. So not the highest. It's kind of a standard alcohol by volume kind of situation. It's a lovely cider. It's very nice. It's very smooth. It's sweet, but not too sweet.
Yeah, I haven't tried it yet. I've got a couple more down in the basement.
It's not too sweet. It is a product of Canada. It's a lovely sort of cider. Interestingly enough, the only ingredients are cider and sugars. That's all it says. Cider and sugars. Apple juice concentrate. Probably that's where the sugars come from. But when it comes to cider, that's all you really need.
Yep.
So cider and some extra sugar to ferment it. It's lovely. It's very nice. It is on the sweeter side. Chris, I know you like a drier cider.
No, actually, I like sweeter.
Do you? I thought you wanted.
No, Renee's the one that she likes bone
Renee
dry.
likes the dry stuff.
Yeah.
Renee, I'm absconding with nuggets. No, I'm dispensing nuggets of wisdom. Sorry, Dutch missed I guess. My nuggets of wisdom. I may not be around. I may be missing the occasional show because of work. So, it's Summersby. We've had some Summersby before on the show. A different kind. Gifted to us by Tiger, who was a fan of the show. Thank you, Tiger. And this is lovely. It is, like I said, it's very nice. It says light and crisp taste. I'd say it is on the sweeter side. It is very crisp. It is on the lighter side. So you want to check this out if you can. If you can, I don't think it's available in the States.
No,
but if you go over to Canada and check it out, it's not
the
not too
Land.
shabby. Letterkenny Land. Speaking, I got. We'll talk more about some Letterkenny stuff, but yeah, check it out. What are you drinking?
Which by the way, CD said nuggets. I get wisdom, maybe. I am drinking.
Thanks, dude.
I'm drinking a beer that Pete brought over. I believe it was Pete brought over either last game or the game before. It's by New Belgium. It's part of their Voodoo Ranger. It is the Raider IPA, and it's got like a picture of Harrison Ford there on the front.
Right.
With the
the guy is looking pretty skeletal these days.
It is what is it? 8.1% ABV.
Wow. Okay, so, it's respectable.
A little bit more than yours.
Yeah.
It is a golden IPA. It's got a nice color. It's got like some tropical notes in the aroma. Taking a little sip here. It's not bad. It does have some tropical notes. It's got a bitter finish. You almost get like that orange flavor, and then almost like the rind, a little bit of the rind at the end.
Okay.
I mean, it's not bad. I'll give it like a 3 1/4. I mean, it's drinkable. It's definitely drinkable. It's not one of my favorites, but I would definitely drink it again if it was around. So, yeah.
Alrighty.
Pretty good.
Cool. Guys, be sure to check it out. Check out Summersby from Summersby Wild Garden. It's in Canada. It's 100% Canadian made. And yours again, Chris, is
Hop Raider.
Dun, 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 dun.
Dun, dun, dun.
We got looks like CD is having a Coastal Dreams from 21 from New Holland milkshake IPA with pineapple and marshmallow. Gives it a solid 8.
Never had marshmallow.
Never had marshmallow.
I've never heard of that. I haven't heard of that one. I will have to look for that.
So getting into it. What do you want to start with?
Let's start with the sad news that I found out today. Although I gotta say it's not totally unexpected. But James Earl Jones has announced that he is no longer going to do Darth Vader. He is retiring from doing the voice of Darth Vader. Which, well, he's 91.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's understandable. And I guess the good news on that is that he has signed over the rights to his voice to LucasArts, the Lucasfilms.
Which means now they're going to have a computer.
Yep, they now will have an AI that will actually do his voice. The last time he actually did a voice was in The Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah. Okay. And that was like the cry at the end or something like that. The shout.
No, Rise of Skywalker was the 8th one.
Oh.
He ever since then it's actually been AIs. In Obi-Wan Kenobi, when his voice was there, that was actually an AI doing his voice.
Okay. All right.
So yeah, anything, and I guess in Rebels and something else, I was seeing that was all AI actually doing his voice.
I see. Okay. I was not aware of that.
You know, that's one of the things they were talking about on that same in the same article, Dutch, is that their Amazon is reportedly teaching Alexa to speak in other voices, other people's voices, and it's with the idea that they couch it in the idea that it would be like you could have a beloved grandparent reading stories to your to their grandkids after they've passed away. And Renee's like, no, fuck that. That's just creepy.
Yeah, it's super creepy. That is somebody that can't that is having a tough time saying goodbye, I think, at that point. If you want to have a beloved grandparent reading.
You know what? My grandchild, I only have one right now. My grandchild and any of, her kids or, any of my ancestors from now on, if they want to see me, I'm going to live forever on fucking YouTube.
Right on.
You know what? They can come watch me anytime they want. They can watch, look, great grandpa swore like a motherfucker.
Oh, please. You're going to know that, that the language that we use is going to be considered nothing compared to the
Listen
next
to the
generation.
archaic slang terms that they used.
back in the 20s. Come on, kid. Let's go. We're gonna it's totally awesome, kid. What the fuck? I couldn't even think of anything.
But yes, I would like to I'm gonna raise a glass to the end of an era. James Earl Jones, one of the most distinctive voices in movies.
Absolutely.
And the voice of my childhood. Yeah. Forever Vader.
To James Earl Jones. See, that's the thing, though, too. You get to a certain age, after a while, your voice does start to change. You do start to see some changing and some, changing as your voice gets older.
Right, and that's the thing. So even they even used this AI for Mark Hamill's voice in The Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett.
Right.
It's not actually Mark Hamill speaking. It's this AI. It's the AI doing it.
Right.
Because his voice has changed.
Right, exactly. Voices change as you get older. And, some change a little bit and some change a lot. Like Adam West, if you listen to the final animated movie that he did, where it's the 66 Batman that they did two animated movies, and you can hear Adam West. Yeah, he still sounds like Adam West, but he sounds old. He definitely sounds different. It's almost like he's breathing heavier, and it was a little odd.
Mm-hmm.
So it was still cool, but it was a little odd. So
speaking of Adam West and the 66 Batman, have you caught up on Harley Quinn?
No, unfortunately, I'm still behind. I'm behind on so many things right now,
dude,
man.
You gotta finish Harley Quinn, because the episode where she's in Bruce's head is just fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've heard so many good things.
She goes into Bruce's mind, and it's just fucking hilarious. But the show was, again, brilliant. This entire season, brilliant. So one of the other things that I discovered that I didn't know about, and I guess this came out a little while ago, or earlier this year, I think it was. There's a new Dresden Files book. It's a novella. It's only about 100 pages. It's called The Law.
The Law. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you can get it on Audible.
Oh, you can also get it on Kindle.
Oh, okay, right on.
Because I actually just bought it on Kindle today, and I've read the first 2 chapters, and I think it picks up like a month after Battleground. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm like, holy shit, I got new Dresden. And the reason I found that out was I was going to look for his steampunk novels, because supposedly since he finished Battleground, he was going to start working on the Aeronauts Windlass books, the second one of those. And I love the first one, So I was waiting for the second one, and there's still just a to be determined date on it. There's no new word on if he's working on it, how far he is, when we might expect it. But I saw that there was a new Dresden Files novella, and I'm like, oh, must have. So
very cool, man. It's been so long since the last book.
Been 5 years, I think.
Yeah, I'll have to like reread them again. I mean, it's like, or at least maybe I'll have to sign up for Audible again, just to kind of listen to them all over again. God, man, it has been a long time. Or at the very least, I'm going to need some refreshers. What the hell happened?
Yeah, I'm looking it up right now to see, because I know it was September. When did it come out? 2020. So I guess it was only 2 years ago.
Really? Feels like it was longer.
Oh, dude, that book, Battleground, just fucking killed me. I mean, that was one of the roughest books I've read.
Was really rough. It definitely was rough. I mean, deaths of characters and just yeesh, it was very tough.
Destroying Chicago. I mean, just
wrecking the fucking joint.
Oh yeah, it was fucking. That was hard. Still love the series though. And then, shit, there was something else I was going to tell you, and I don't remember what it was now. Oh well. Yeah, I've still got all those Dresden Files books on MP3 somewhere, I think.
I've got a lot. I've got a lot of the audiobooks. Where do I have them? I've got them here on my computer, but I've only got to a certain point. Because
I don't have the later ones. I've got I think I've got the same ones you do, because you gave them to me.
Because I gave them to you because I was able to pirate them. I've got them I've got them up to Skin Game. But the nice thing is I actually have all.
That's actually more than what you gave me, because you gave them to me years before that. So
yeah, probably. But the thing is I've got them up to Skin Game, but then I've also got like a bunch of the short stories and stuff too. Yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of those are really good too.
Mm-hmm. And they're all like listed in order too. It's pretty cool.
Those are all definitely worth reading as well.
Oh, for sure.
I enjoy every one of those.
Absolutely.
That was one of the things. That was one of the things we asked last week as well. Was if you could remake one TV show, if you could reboot one TV show, what would it be? And I said the Dresden Files, but they have to do it right. They have to do it on Netflix. They have to do like one book per season.
Right on. I think you could probably squeeze in like maybe 2 books, and the first couple of books you could probably squeeze in.
No,
like
I don't
maybe
think so. Not in like 8 to 10 episodes.
Stormfront
would still take 8 episodes to do properly, I think.
I mean, you could definitely do 1 book per season. I'm just saying a couple of those you could probably squeeze. I
think like the first 2 seasons would be like 8 episodes, and then it would go to 10 and then 13 episodes later on. Once you get to like I think it'd be like 8 episodes for Stormfront, 8 episodes for Fool's Moon, and then maybe 10 episodes for Ghost Story. You might be able to get away with 10 episodes for Summer Night, but then when you get to Death Masks, I think you got to start expanding it to like 12 to 13 episodes.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, it definitely does get more. It does get heavier as the books progress. That's for sure. Like I said, Stormfront and Full Moon. I mean, they were pretty. You could probably. I mean, you got to think about it. I'm talking about hour-long episodes.
Yep.
And you've got a lot of times, man. You got a novel, and they condense it into a 2-hour movie.
But they do that by killing characters and killing story points.
Sure.
And that's the point of doing it as a series, is you don't do that.
I know, but that's my point is that the first 2 books are short enough that you could probably do them in like 5 episodes. You do like a 10 episode season for the first season. You get to Stormfront and Full Moon. You could maybe do Grave Peril. Grave Peril probably would need I think it's been a while since I've read that one, but A Great Peril I think could definitely do one season, and Summer Night for sure one season. I just think the first two you could probably condense into one season, but
Maybe.
because that's the other thing, you're also thinking, if you're going to have one season per book, you better find an actor that's willing to sign on for like 15 fucking, seasons. It's a long time, dude. So you're gonna have to see. That's the other thing, Chris. Unless you want to recast, which I'm fine with it to some extent. Unless you want to recast, you have to. There are some sacrifices that have to be made.
Yeah.
So anyway,
but I mean, if you're only doing 8 episodes a season or 10 episodes a season, that's not a huge commitment. So yeah, you sign on. All right, you got a guaranteed paycheck. All right, so September, October every year you're gone to film, and then the rest of the year you're doing other projects.
It's more like 3 months.
Well, okay.
but still, well, it depends. It also depends too on what the.
It's also not like you have to go to exotic locations like The Witcher or anything like that. At worst you're filming in Chicago.
Yeah, they'd shoot in Vancouver.
Yeah.
It's cheaper.
Exactly. But Chicago and Detroit of the or even Vegas of the of Hollywood. That's what always killed me. CSI, the original CSI, which was supposed to be in Vegas. That show was filmed in Vancouver.
Yeah.
Which is why it's always fucking raining in Vegas.
Or the ground's wet. The ground's always wet or whatever. Yeah, except for some of the external, like some of the exterior shots that they would shoot, they'd fly to Vegas for.
Yeah.
But so many shows are shot in Vancouver. Like, there's a huge amount of the industry is in Vancouver.
And that's the thing. Most shows are that take place in a certain area are not shot on location. They do location shots, like Grosse Pointe Blank. There is one scene where they're flying along Lakeshore.
Yeah.
Filming all the houses and everything like that. They're flying along the lake. That's the only thing that's actually from Michigan.
I think there's a scene. At the end where they're driving away and they're in a car and they're driving. I think that might be. There were a couple of. I could have swore there were a couple of external shots.
I thought Grosse Pointe Blank, the only shot was that helicopter shot where they're flying along the lake.
I'd have to look it up, but I think there were a couple other external shots, but you're right. The majority of it was shot elsewhere.
Yeah.
That was one of the interesting things about the movie Constantine with Keanu Reeves.
Constantine.
Constantine.
Yeah, but it should be pronounced Constantine.
It's pronounced Constantine in Sandman.
And Diamond said that it's actually Constantine.
He did. But a lot of people are saying that Keanu Reeves' version is pronounced Constantine because he's a completely different version of the character. So I'm sticking with that one.
I still think it should be Constantine myself. So,
but Keanu Reeves had just come back from filming The Matrix in Australia, and he'd been in Australia for fucking months, for like a year and a half or whatever he'd been. I think it might have been Matrix 2 and 3. He had filmed them back to back, and he had been in Australia for like 18 months. So when he came back, they wanted to do Constantine. He was like, he demanded they filmed in LA. He was given a producer credit, I believe, on that movie, and he was like, nope, I want to film in LA. I want my friends in LA to work on this movie. I want to be in LA. The movie was a lot more expensive because because the star said, I want to film in LA. And they did. Speaking of that,
I was just going to say,
earlier this week, late last week, I believe, they announced, and Keanu Reeves did announce, that they are now going forward on a sequel to Constantine, which was made, I think, premiered 17 years ago. So they are going to be working on Constantine 2, featuring, Keanu Reeves. There is no story.
I like Constantine.
What's that? I
liked that movie.
I liked the movie. I certainly saw the reason why people had problems with it. I mean, Keanu Reeves definitely, CD said, it was fine. It was fine. It was entertaining. It was definitely not the same Constantine, though.
No,
Constantine
but I think
in the comic books, or Constantine, is British. He's blonde. He's a bit more of a scoundrel, a bit more of an asshole. And I mean, honestly, the guy who's been playing him on the Constantine TV show and Legends of Tomorrow in the Arrowverse was perfect.
And honestly, I was pissed about his show. The Constantine TV show, I thought got a horrible, again, fucking Fox.
Yeah.
And their bullshit. Yeah. They did not give that show a fair shake.
Nope.
It needed a season to get going.
Yep.
But I thought that the first season was still fantastic. It was all set up, but I thought it was fantastic. And I think a second season and even beyond that would have just fucking killed.
Absolutely. Would have been fantastic. But, they, in their lack of foresight, they didn't give it a chance. Now, thankfully, it was rolled into the Arrowverse, and I keep blanking on the actor's name, but he showed up on, I think it was on Arrow.
Yep.
As Constantine, and then eventually, is it Matt something? He showed up on Arrow as the character, and then eventually they moved him into Matt Ryan. They moved him into the Legends of Tomorrow. So he entered in season 4, I think, of Legends of Tomorrow, and he was great. He was fantastic. So Constantine 2 is being worked on. We don't have a date on it yet. We don't have any kind of story points. We don't have a cast.
He actually does the voice of Constantine in Harley Quinn as well.
He does. He's the voice of Constantine in several animated projects as well. So he's doing great. We should move on. Let's see. Here's something today. Kevin Feige teased Wanda's return in the MCU. There really is so much more to explore. Marvel boss Kevin Feige hinted at Elizabeth Olsen's return as Wanda in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. There really is so much more to explore. We still haven't. See you later, Dutch. Thanks for stopping by. We still haven't touched on many of her core storylines from the comics, though we may have seen Wanda, aka the Scarlet Witch, meet her doom in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Feige says he's not so sure about that. I don't know what we saw under the rubble, he teases. I saw a tower coming down, a little red flash. I don't know what that means. Feige says, I'd work with Lizzie for another 100 years if we could. Anything's possible in the multiverse. We'll have to see.
No one's ever really dead in the Marvel universe except Uncle Ben.
Except Uncle Ben. That's right. Let's see. Doctor Strange 2 picked up where WandaVision left off, with Wanda dealing with her grief, albeit in the most destructive way possible. After the success of both projects, with Doctor Strange 2 raking in over $950 million in the global box office, it's hard to imagine that Olsen won't return to the misunderstood witch, perhaps fighting alongside the good guys once again. I didn't realize $950 million at the global box office. See, that's the thing. They go on and on about some of these Marvel movies. I mean, people have talked about the, disappointing, some of these movies being a little bit disappointing or not as good or whatever. They still go on to be very successful when it's taken into effect the worldwide gross. And even in the States, they're still extremely successful. Love and Thunder, although many are considering it to be one of the lesser films in the MCU, it still was considered a success. It made its money back, plus, particularly when you consider the worldwide gross.
It has grossed over $760 million worldwide. I was just looking that up as you brought that up, because I'm like, let's look at Love and Thunder, which is considered one of the worst Marvel movies to date.
I enjoyed it, but I definitely still understand. I do understand what the problems.
I liked parts of it, but I personally think it is the worst Thor movie, and I think it's one of the worst MCU movies to date. It definitely did not live up to Ragnarok.
Oh no, not at all. And I will rank it on the lower tiers. I have to say it is one of the ones that made me. I mean, I did see it twice in 2 days, and I'm a little sorry I did that because I was like, didn't give me enough time to really mull it over. Now, when people have pointed out to me certain points, like if you look at it in the context of the idea that Korg is telling the story to the kids later on, it makes a little more sense, because it makes sense that it's a little more over the top and kind of crazy, and that Thor is acting very weird, and then he's going through his midlife crisis and all this kind of stuff. It actually makes a lot more sense because you're seeing it through the eyes of Korg, who worships Thor, or adores Thor. So I was like, okay, he's telling a story to kids. Yeah, okay. I guess it kind of makes a little more sense that way, that perspective. I don't know if that is what Taika was meaning to do, but if you look at it like that, it does definitely make a little more sense.
Yeah, and I kind of lost that idea. I mean, yeah, I know that's how it starts off and everything, but I didn't take it as that's what it was when I was watching the movie. And maybe that's part of it, is that I didn't take it that way.
Right.
I mean, it is on Disney Plus now. Maybe I'll watch it again and see what I think, having had some distance.
It did also just come to Blu-ray too, so I'm hoping that although Taika has said that he doesn't want to make a director's cut, I am hoping that there are some more scenes in the like some cutscenes and stuff. I have seen a few cutscenes on YouTube that they have different scenes and stuff. And I'd still say, and a lot of people have said, that the biggest problem that they had with Love and Thunder was that it felt like it should have been two movies, or that they cut too much out.
Yeah,
that they just cut too much out. There wasn't enough to. There's so many plot points and so many things that
there were holes.
Exactly.
And even the actors said that there was at least 4 hours of good footage.
Right. And
it became an hour and a half long movie.
Right. Exactly. It's too bad that that's what happened, and I think Taika was kind of pushed into that. He was kind of pushed into that kind of thing. Hey, did you know you can get audiobooks on Spotify? I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's a newer thing.
Huh. I don't know, my Spotify app just popped up, so I'm like, oh, weird.
Yeah, actually, I'm going to start listening because I got a 45-minute drive to work when I have to go into the office.
Right.
And so I might start listening to the Dresden Files books again. So I was thinking about, because I read them every year or two. I read the whole series again. Although it's getting to the point where I can't read them every year because it takes me a year to get through them.
Yeah, it does take a long time to get through them.
Because I mean, there's 17 books now?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah.
So let's see.
You had some Deadpool news.
We're going to get to that in a second.
Okay.
So in the DC Comics right now, they're doing something called the Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths. It's the big summer / end of summer.
Because they can't come up with a new name. They're just going to put dark. Crises. They're just going to put dark in front of it and say, "Oh, look, it's a new series."
So far, it has been kind of cool. I got to admit, the story that they're doing has been pretty cool. They're shaking things up. They're burning things to the ground. They're rebuilding stuff. So it has been pretty neat. They have stated that after the Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths launches a new dawn of the DCU. DC has announced that what comes after Dark Crisis is called a new editorial era known as Dawn of the DCU. As DC's Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths event continues, the DC universe is being reshaped. Now the publishers announced the next editorial era for its comics Dawn of the DCU, and it all spins out of Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths /7, the series finale, hitting shelves December 20th. In Dark Crisis /7, the remaining heroes on Earth Zero Prime will have an all-out battle with Deathstroke's Dark Army, but what DC is calling the final war is just getting started. The Justice League has been restored alongside the Infinite Earths, but of course there's a cost. So we'll see what that is. It's always darkest before the dawn, and now we're there, a new dawn of the DC universe. A whole event started with death, so here we end with life. Our epic last issue shows why the DC universe is at its best when it's adding and growing the mythology. Now, on the cover, it shows Nightwing, like kind of in a glowing, like his hands outstretched and his hands up, and he's kind of, his face looking up, and he's kind of glowing. And that makes me feel like maybe Nightwing won't survive this. I don't know. It could be, that would be a big mistake, I think, storytelling wise. Nightwing is a well-beloved DC character. So, and to see him get knocked off I think would really suck. But we'll see. They are already talking about things like the Justice Society coming back, where they're going to have, actually coming up real soon, they're going to have a new Justice Society of America comic book, which we haven't had in a long time.
Okay. I was just double checking. The thing is Dick's been dead before.
I don't think so.
Yeah, he was accidentally killed by Damian. Well, that's the Injustice stuff, but he becomes
it was Injustice. That doesn't count.
He actually succeeds Boston Brand as the second Dead Man.
That's right. Actually, that's true. And actually, they did that in the animated show too, and one of the animated movies as well. It was pretty cool. The thing about it, though, too, is and he almost died. Like 2 years ago, he got shot in the head, and a bullet hit his noggin and gave him amnesia for quite a while. And he took on almost an entirely new persona, and completely lost his memory as Robin, as Nightwing, the whole thing. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens, because it looks ominous, honestly, for our boy Nightwing. We shall see. I'll have to look and see if if his comic book is solicited for that time. It does say 7 Dawn of the DCU questions and observations. Let's see. How will the Dawn of the DCU complement or not the new Golden Age that was announced last month? In case you missed it, but if you're reading this, you likely didn't. The new Golden Age is the Jeff Johns-driven post-Flashpoint Beyond, now seemingly sub-editorial initiative that features the long-awaited return of the Justice Society of America and Stargirl to prominence in the DCU. This is probably spinning out of the success of the Stargirl TV show. I would be surprised. So people are like, what's going on? Who will be the creative driving force of the dawn of the DCU? Writer Scott Snyder, as the author of the 2 Dark Metal event series, was arguably the biggest creative driver of the Rebirth era. Writer Josh Williamson was inarguably the bus driver of the Infinite Frontier era, as a writer of 4 of the major events of that period: Infinite Frontier, Justice League Incarnate, Shadow War, and Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths, along with a run on the flagship Batman series. It does not seem coincidental. Williamson just announced new creator-owned content to be published on Substack just days before DC announced the Dark Crisis finale. So his contract might be up. Let's see, who is present and not on the cover art probably says something about the dawn of the DCU. Who isn't present? Conspicuously, at least if you ask us, any of the colloquial 5G heroes. We're talking Jonathan Kent, Superman's son; Nubia, the Black Wonder Woman; Yara Flor, the new Wonder Girl; Jace Fox, who is the new Batman, who is Lucius Fox's son; Joe Moline, the new Green Lantern; Jackson Hyde, the new Aquaman. Even current Justice League stalwarts John Stewart and Hawkgirl are absent. Who is? The classic Big Six: Clark Kent, Bruce Wayne, Diana of Themyscira, Arthur Curry, Hal Jordan, and presumably Barry Allen, along with Nightwing, Starfire, and Cyborg of the classic New Teen Titans era, and Shazam. So we've got some more classic characters there, and a lot of these newer generation characters are kind of absent from these covers, these variant covers that are going to be for issue 7. It seems Billy Batson will take on this role again, and Mary Bromfield's time as the champion of Shazam will be short-lived, at least as a solo act. So that could be interesting too. I mean, maybe they're going to phase out these this younger generation superhero into something else, move them on into maybe their own universe or a new team. Who knows? Brave and the Bold again. We got Batman, or we got the Flash and Green Lantern on one of the covers. We could see them teaming up a lot. That the Flash and Green Lantern teamed up a lot back in the day. How big of a splash will the dawn of the DCU make in January? Who knows? It could be immense. It could be a fucking letdown. And then it says, what's up with Nightwing? Nightwing's prominent presence on the main cover of DC on Infinite Earths at number 7, the variant overlay cover seen here, paired with the somewhat cosmic multiversal context, the images really open the floodgates to questions as to what his role will be in the DCU in the new era. So I don't want to go through all this, but it is things to consider. And finally, didn't the DCU already dawn? Retcons of retcons, rise, repeat. It's just it seems like every time the DCU seems to get some stall out a little bit and have a tough time with figuring out what they want to do next. They have something like this, the Crisis on Infinite Earths, or some sort of massive crisis event. I think it's lazy writing. Although some of these crises are kind of cool, some of these storylines are pretty neat, and they end up kind of creating cool things. Big events like this are not always necessary to create cool storytelling, and I think it's kind of a money grab. So we'll see how that plays out in the coming months. I did have some Deadpool news today.
Well, hold on. So I actually have some comic news too.
Okay.
And this is something I saw the other day, and I wait, what is this? I saw a thing with Batman Spawn, which was something from back in '94.
Right.
And so I looked into it because I saw the picture, and I'm like, that is just such a badass picture. I'm like, I want that as a poster. And I started looking at it, and I found that they're actually reprinting the Batman Spawn one shot, as well as which was actually written by Frank Miller.
Yep.
And the art was done by Todd McFarlane.
Yep.
So I'm like, that right there makes it. I didn't know about it back in '94. Otherwise, I'd have bought like 80 copies of it. But they're putting that along with Batman Spawn War Devil into one book and releasing it in November. November 15th is when it comes out.
Awesome.
So the first time in 28 years, you'll actually be able to get that again. I'm like, I'm gonna have to get it because
I do remember it. I do have the original one, and it's pretty freaking cool.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, Todd McFarlane is one of my favorite artists of all time. I like the way he draws things. I loved Spawn. I was trying to get all of the Spawn comics. I think I had back to number 8. I didn't get 1 through 7. I was working on that. And I had up to, at the time, like 24 or 25. But then I got out of comics.
I do have it. I collected the first 200 issues of Spawn, I believe. Todd McFarlane is a hell of an artist and is considered by many to be a master of his craft. Unfortunately, I've noticed that his writing has fallen short a bit, and some of the decisions he's made over the years, like screwing over Neil Gaiman and Grant Morrison and some of the other writers and stuff, has been kind of shitty. But I do still appreciate him as an artist. I think his toy company changed the game.
Some of the best looking action figures.
Some of the coolest fucking toys. Some of the coolest action figures.
I got a Spawn sitting right over here.
Exactly.
One of the original Spawn action figures.
Mm-hmm. I've got a bunch of them too downstairs. I've got quite a few, and he is something else. And he did certainly. He was one of the guys that created Image Comics. He broke away from Marvel and created Image, and like I said, he changed the game. So kudos to him for sure.
But yeah, if you want it, November 15th it comes out. It's actually, I just looked, it is available for pre-order on Amazon. It is $18 and another $9.95 if you want it delivered on release day.
Wow. Fuck that.
Yeah.
That's the other drag about McFarlane is he's a bit of a money hog. I mean, the dude is rich as fuck. I mean, his comic book sold like incredible in the 90s. He made a lot of money through his toy company.
And he actually has a lot of ties here in Detroit.
He does.
He sponsored a hockey team, a youth hockey team for a long time. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I remember I worked with a woman whose son was on the Spawn hockey team. Yeah. Because their emblem was the Spawn emblem.
Yeah. And McFarlane Toys distribution center was in Livonia for a long time.
Yeah, and that's where the hockey team was based out of Livonia, I think.
Plymouth,
maybe. Yeah. Anyway, she was like, she was talking about the jerseys and everything, and my buddy and I were like, I want one of those jerseys. Can I get one? And she's like, well, I could probably get you one of the kids' jerseys, because she's like, at the end of the season, I could stand at the entrance to the locker room and just go, hey, anybody that doesn't want it, just give me your jersey. And I would probably have 90% of the kids give me those jerseys because they have no idea what they have.
Right.
But she came in with like a jean jacket with a giant Spawn logo on the back, and she's like, yeah, it's from McFarlane.
Yep.
You should see him and his partner all the time.
It is pretty fucking awesome. You know what? I am going to retweet this because holy shit, I don't do a whole lot of tweeting and or retweeting, but I'm going to retweet it. So today, speaking of McFarlane and speaking of Canadians and stuff like that, we have a what the fuck?
Can I throw some aviation gin in there too?
Yeah, exactly. Ryan Reynolds today announced he put a video up on his Instagram and Twitter and tweeting and his Twitter.
The Twattertons.
Pardon?
The Twattertons.
The Twattertons. The Ryan Reynolds. It's Van Cine Reynolds. About 4 hours ago, to talk about these Deadpool 3. And the video goes on, it's about 2 minutes, and it is hilarious. And it's really, really funny. He talks about they're working on the Deadpool movie. He's going through, he's had to search his soul. You know, the first appearance in the MCU has got to be a big deal. It's got to be perfect. It says because it obviously they have to stay true to the character, and it shows him in the costume and typing and working out, and every Deadpool movie needs to stand apart, and it's been an incredible challenge. It's even got him like pouring his aviation gin into a cup and reading the comic book, one of the comic books on the toilet, and he's sitting at the couch and just looking at the camera, and he goes, "And I got nothing. Empty up here." Completely gone. And then he says, and he goes, completely empty up here, and it's terrifying. He goes, but I do have one idea. And when he says that, Hugh Jackman walks behind him. He's sitting on his couch. Jackman walks behind him and goes up the stairs. And he's like, and he says, let me see, I'm going to read it right. He goes, hey, where is it? Completely empty up here and terrifying, but we did have one idea. That's when hey Hugh, you want to play Wolverine one more time? Yeah, sure, Ryan. He just goes up the stairs, and then Ryan Reynolds just and then it goes into a song and I will always love Hugh by Whitney Houston. Hugh. Yeah, so check that out. And then it shows the Deadpool symbol, and then it shows it getting slashed with 3 slash marks. Fuck me. Hugh Jackman is coming back to play Wolverine one more time in Deadpool 3. this could potentially be how Wolverine is introduced to the MCU.
I don't see it.
We have a.
I don't believe it. I think it's all.
Nah, man. I mean, I think this is fucking real, dude. It said Marvel Studios 9/6/24. Now, we don't know how much he was gonna be in the movie. We don't know if it's gonna be a buddy movie between Deadpool and Wolverine. I swear to all the gods, I hope it is. I want this. I want this at the very base of my soul, in my cockle area. I want this
down deep in the cockles, the cockle region.
In the region. I want a movie with, as much as I enjoyed Logan and seeing Hugh Jackman say goodbye to the role, if he's going to come back for this, sure. Fucking A, let's do it.
It would just be stunt casting at that point. I
don't care, Chris. I don't care.
It's time to leave them all behind now, man. I'm sorry. It's time to leave it behind.
No, man.
The dude is like twice as tall as fucking Wolverine. He shouldn't.
The funny thing is after he got cast as Wolverine, they stopped. There was a mandate from the editorial to stop drawing Wolverine so short. They had to start. The artists were basically instructed to slowly start drawing Wolverine to look tall.
Wolverine all of a sudden got a growth spurt at 130.
So if you look at the comics, he's still not like as tall as Captain America, but he's not near as short as he used to be. He used to be supposed to be like 5'3", 5'4". He's supposed to be a pretty short guy.
Yeah.
And now he's they don't refer to him as Runt anymore. They don't call him Shorty or whatever. He's not. He's just Wolverine. He's Logan. So 9/6/24.
Yeah, as in he's putting lifts in his shoes.
Pretty much. So we're looking at early September of 24, 2 years.
Yeah, the other mutants will shame him.
Nobody wants to short people around. Hey, the only shorter guy is Puck. It's pretty weird.
Yeah, Puck wasn't that much shorter.
He was a dwarf, God. So that was the big, that was Ryan Reynolds put that up on his Twitter 4 hours ago. So that is brand new news. And I will definitely check that out. It has been picked up. Well, I sent you the link on Messenger.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
I didn't get a message.
I'm pretty sure I did.
No, I didn't get a message. Messenger doesn't always tell me when I get new messages for some reason. Yeah, I don't have anything from you.
Well, dude. All right. I thought I did. God, my parents are in Florida right now during this hurricane. It's crazy. So that was the big thing and it's been picked up by Variety and Entertainment Weekly and a bunch of the other big news outlets have picked it up. So
what you need to do is you need to have that on our Facebook page.
Right. Well, I was at work and I couldn't really share it at work. But I will. But I couldn't. But I will. But I couldn't.
Which, by the way, I got to say, I'm not crazy about the way that Facebook does the whole thing with pages now. If you actually have a page, then the way that you have to switch back and forth is kind of a pain in the ass.
Yes, I'm not a big fan of it either. Let's see. Share.
Honestly, I'm not a big fan of Facebook anymore. So,
Nerds with Alcohol show. Here it is. Holy shit.
Balls.
Just putting holy shit. Post to Facebook. So it is on. You guys, the link from to the Games Radar Newsarama page that talks about it, and is a link to the to the video clip.
Oh, here, let me go look at it right now.
No, don't do that now.
Do it after the show.
Do it after the show. Don't do that now. She-Hulk.
Actually, let me talk real quick. I did watch the first 3 episodes of Andor.
Oh, yes.
I know you haven't seen it. I won't really do any spoilers.
It's all right.
I mean, there's not much in the way of spoilers. The dude dies in Rogue One.
From what I've heard so far, is it's absolutely genius. That this is some of the best Star Wars we've ever seen.
I really like it. I honestly do. I really do like it so far. What's his name? Skarsgård comes in the 3rd episode, I think it is, and he's fucking brilliant. I want to see more of him. I want to know what this little thing he has is. He's got like a walking stick that looks like a lightsaber hilt, but it's got like a steel thing that comes out and he can retract it. I'm like, oh, I want to see more of that. I want to know what that does. But yeah, so far it's been really cool. They did introduce a new droid. It's a lovable little like house droid.
Okay.
But yeah, overall, I actually am really enjoying the show. They're going into his background. They're giving more detail. They don't give you a lot of detail about the like the planet he grew up on until later. But yeah, overall, so far, I think it is spectacular. I think it's really good. That's all I'll say on that one. Also watched the Rings of Power episode 1. I haven't watched anything else yet. I've only gotten to see episode 1. Honestly, I think that I know I've heard a lot of a lot of negativity about the first at least few episodes of that. In that, oh, it's so boring. It's just a lot of setup and blah blah blah. It is a lot of setup, but I didn't find it boring. I actually really enjoyed it, and it is a beautifully shot show. I think it's fantastic. I had one issue, and it was with Galadriel and everything, but and I thought it was a dumb move on her part. Basically, she gets a gift of being sent back to the Elven homeland, and she decides to jump off the boat before it goes through the light to get to the eternal rest. Basically, it's like their heaven, and
right.
I'm like, all right, you just jumped off the boat. You're in the middle of the fucking shining sea, thousands of miles, or at least hundreds of miles from the nearest landmass. What the fuck are you gonna do now?
Start swimming, I guess.
Yeah. But other than that, I think it's really fantastic. I think it's shot well. It's cool to see this prehistory, because they're going into like the rise of Sauron, and they're right. talking about him and who he used to report to. I mean, he was just a general to Moloch, I think it was. And yeah, so I mean, it's honestly, I think it's going to be a fantastic show. I can't wait to watch more of that.
I am really looking forward to it. I kind of want to finish up a couple other things here before I get into it. Like I want to finish up House of the Dragon and a couple other things.
House of the Dragon is a weekly thing. I mean, you just keep up with that. I mean, Renee and I finished up Sandman and then started watching that, and then Andor came out too, so we started watching that as well. So
yeah, that too.
We got to get back, and Renee and I have to go back and finish Orville. We're about halfway through the season now, and I really hope that they do wind up doing another season of that, because it is some of the best sci-fi on TV.
Absolutely, honestly. Absolutely.
I mean, it's fucking brilliant.
Real quick, speaking of good television, The Rookie came back yesterday.
Yes, we watched that
episode.
Renee and I watched that today.
Absolutely great start to the season.
Yep.
Really good. It's such a good show. My buddy John said, why are we still making cop shows? You know, why don't we have the whistleblower cop that turned into a PI show? Why aren't there any of those? And you're right, there are not very many. There used to be tons of private investigator shows, you know, and there really aren't that many anymore. There's a lot of cop shows, but as cop shows go, this one is really it's really one of the best. Really good storytelling, some some humor, but not too much of it to where it makes it too light. It's a great show. You got to suspend a little disbelief, just you do on any show, but it's a good show. So check it out. And they have the spinoff now to the Rookie Feds featuring Niecy Nash, as a new character who has a woman in her mid to late 40s that decides to become an FBI agent.
Which one, I will not watch, and two, I have problems with because I know that that's an impossibility. The FBI would not take her. Okay. I know what the FBI requirements are because I was looking at becoming an FBI agent when I was in high school, and I know what the requirements are, and you have to be within a certain age bracket to get into the FBI.
I did not know that. Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, I have no interest in that either because I found her character to be, while she was entertaining in the short term on the show, I could not watch her every week.
Oh no?
No, that character would drive me nuts.
All right.
But anyway, but yes, Rookie was fantastic. I knew he was going to blow his golden ticket on something dumb.
He really wants to be a training officer, man.
Yep. Dude, you got a golden ticket. You don't do it to become a training officer.
Mm-hmm.
I loved how everyone was throwing stuff out there, though. And even Bailey, his girlfriend's like, K9 officer, you get a dog.
Yeah, he's like, if you want to get a dog, we can just get a dog. That's the other thing, too. Almost everything that they talk about, too, all the suggestions that were made are still like, you got to do additional training for. You don't just get a dog.
And that's the thing.
Yeah.
The chief even told him, no matter what you want to do, you let us know, and you can do that. We'll make sure you get the training.
Right.
I love Smitty though. Like, don't be a detective. You know how hard they have to work? Because he's such a fucking lazy ass.
Such an asshole. Good character.
He's like, go into recruiting. You travel the country and talk up the LAPD on their dime.
Yep, exactly.
She-Hulk?
Next. She-Hulk. Yes.
We got 2 episodes to talk about.
2 episodes.
The first one is She-Hulk by Titania.
Yeah, oh my God. So I've explained before that the original Titania character in the comic books was basically a bullied young woman, or a young woman who grew up her whole life bullied. She had a terrible upbringing. She was, kind of from the white trash part of town. She just had a real rough go. She gets superpowers she was part of the piece of Earth that was pulled off by the Beyonder to become part of the battle worlds that Secret Wars became a part of. Mm-hmm. Like a small piece of Colorado got pulled off of the Earth, and he made a Gestalt planet, and that's what they made the battle world was created from. And the Beyonder, so she was part of the town that was part of that part of Colorado, and she was empowered by Dr. Doom. He cobbled together some kind of machine that gave her and this other woman named Volcana superpowers, and Volcana basically became, could control like magma. She would turn into like a magma being, whatever. And she was Skeeter McFerrin, or Mary McFerrin's best friend, Mary McFerrin, who became Titania. She was basically just a super strong and invulnerable woman, tall and gorgeous and super strong and invulnerable. And she basically, during Secret War, decided to pick the green chick, and she became her nemesis. Now, very rarely, if ever, did Titania get the upper hand on She-Hulk. It was actually kind of comical that Titania would show up, She-Hulk would kick the shit out of her, Titania would go back, lick her wounds, come back. In fact, I remember one specific thing where Titania kept showing up over and over again to plague She-Hulk for something, and finally she just ticked off She-Hulk enough, and most of the time She-Hulk just center packing or whatever, and finally she pissed her off enough that she just kicked the crap out of her. And there's the scene where she's holding Titania up by her neck, and she's like, "You're gonna leave me alone, aren't you?" She goes, "Yes, ma'am," and and that kind of thing. So so it's the whole character shift that they've made for this character has been really smart, in my opinion, because what they've done is they've updated Titania to make her an equivalent of somebody who is just butthurt can't get over the things that happened to her in the past.
Well, she's an influencer.
She's become an influencer, right? And she's become an influencer that's pissed off that She-Hulk is stealing her thunder and doesn't even want it. She basically, that's why she showed up in court, was to confront She-Hulk. It's why she showed up at the wedding to confront She-Hulk.
That's later.
That's the second episode. Yeah. So the next episode. But she was I love what they've done with the character. I think it's really fucking smart. And I think it's one example of one of the smartest things about this show that I think a lot of people are just not getting, that it is social commentary.
Yeah,
this show is social commentary.
This show has been fantastic to address things like a lot of the issues that women run into on a daily basis. That's the whole thing with Jen telling Bruce that the reason she can control her Hulkness and everything so well is because she has to deal with so much shit on a daily basis that she can control her rage. And Renee saw that and she's like, that's truth.
Yeah.
She's like, the shit that women have to go through on a daily basis. And they bring it up even in this episode it's the whole courtroom thing where Titania is suing She-Hulk for the use of the name She-Hulk.
She was apparently able to trademark the name.
Yes.
For
and Jen is countersuing to get her to stop and for damages to the name and everything like that. So it's a whole courtroom battle, and she winds up getting another lawyer from was it GHK?
GHL&K.
GHL&K. And she has a talk with one of the partners, and he basically says, hey, we hired you, we made you the face of our superhero division, and it doesn't look good for us if we can't police our own. If we can take care
one
of our
problems. People can't take care of our own problems.
Yeah.
She's like, I will take care of this.
He's like,
and that's the thing.
And he says, no, we'll take care of it.
Right. And Titania is selling, is using the She-Hulk brand to basically sell a bunch of her shitty beauty products. And that she, Jennifer and Nikki, her paralegal, go to one of Titania's pop-up shops, and she's literally selling snake oil.
Yeah, so she says it's
snake venom
balm. She's literally selling snake oil.
Yeah. They're not FDA approved products. They're just bullshit. And she confronts her there, and she's like, but they
you rolled over so fast. Like we take our picture.
Yeah.
What are you doing? I'll just take one. You rolled over so fast.
Because I know. I love that shit. One of the things that I really adore about it is this stuff. And I also love how, Mallory Book is her attorney, and Mallory Book is written in as to be this really tough, amazing go-getter lawyer. She's a really good lawyer. She's really good at what she does. She's glamorous. She's beautiful. She's she's everything what all of these other female lawyers want to be, honestly. And probably what some of the dudes want to be too, because she's just very successful. And at one point, I love this. This was really funny too. Is at one point, she looks at her and says, "Can you not dress like a football player that's trying to get off a DUI charge or something like that?"
Yeah.
And because She-Hulk is basically just walking around in these men's suits because that's all she can really find short notice in her size. Because it's certainly difficult. The funny thing is, you'd think it would be difficult to find clothing in her size. And it probably is. But there are a lot of drag queens out there. And there are a lot of drag queens that are probably big guys.
But you know what? There aren't a lot of drag queens that are 6'7".
Maybe not. But there's still there's at the very least.
Dude,
at this
I can
point,
tell you from experience, being 6'5", it is not always easy to find stuff in my size.
Oh, okay, fair enough. So, you can go to a big and tall shop and stuff. And which you probably
I can go to Men's Warehouse and get it, but it would take a couple of weeks.
Yeah. So, okay. So maybe at a couple of weeks, go by. It's still, and having a bunch of clothes tailored to fit her would also be pretty expensive. So they are able to find basically the tailor to the superhero set.
She makes a comment too about getting paid the medium bucks.
Yeah, that's why I get paid the medium bucks. Still, medium bucks for a lawyer, Chris.
Yeah,
medium bucks for
probably,
a lawyer.
Probably about six figs.
Yeah, low 6 figs, I'd say. Probably bringing in about 152 grand, 200 grand a year. So anyway, granted, she's living in LA, which is a whole other story.
So medium bucks in LA, she's probably bringing in $250,000 a year.
Yeah, probably. So, the one guy that got catfished by that Asgardian elf had ponied up 175,000 to her because he thought he was dating Megan Thee Stallion, and he was 175,000. And then Pug was like, that'll buy a house in some places in this country, right? And he's like, So anyway, she's in court, she's dealing with that stuff, but she's also goes to meet with this after some other rigmarole, which is really funny. I'll take one of your Avengers shirts, and
they go. Well, Nikki is trying to find this
designer,
yeah.
The clothing designer for superheroes.
Yeah.
And they go to this is a bubble tea store. And so they go to this place like Pug, and Pug is one of the other lawyers, Pugliese. He is apparently a big fan of superhero stuff, particularly apparently there's a line of sneakers that
Iron Man 3s are coming out.
Yep, that are patterned after superheroes. And even in the post-credit stuff or in the closing credit stuff, you can see there's a shot of him standing in front of his closet, like showing all these sneakers. And you see some, and people the internet went bug shit about this, because you could see a Cyclops sneaker and a Wolverine sneaker and a bunch of other ones that were like, hey, does that mean we're gonna, dude, it was the artist filling space, okay? Jesus Christ, So anyway, he convinces Nikki to go to the store and get a pair for him, because they're only allowing one per person, and he wants to get and they find out she's like that Pugliese has
one to go, one for show.
Right, one to go, one for show. And that Pugliese has a connection to this knows a guy that knows a guy.
He's got a drip broker.
Yeah, that can connect him to this designer.
He can get you anything in fashion.
Yeah. So they go to where he thinks it is, and it's just some guy selling knockoff Avengers stuff, like
Avengers.
He's got Captain America, little plastic toy Captain America shields that are the wrong color,
and
Mjolnirs that are like, probably wrong or off or whatever. So, but they do convince the guy to give them the address of this actual designer. And after she agrees to buy a matching shirt and hat. So then they
of course I want the hat. I got to complete the ensemble.
Got to have him complete the ensemble. Nikki is hilarious. See, that's the other thing about this show, that the supporting cast is fantastic. They're really rising to the occasion. So we see
And honestly, so one of the things I want to talk about here too is the breaking of the fourth wall has been fantastic as well.
Perfect.
It has not been overdone, but it's been perfectly timed, I think, in a lot of cases.
Absolutely. So we see, eventually we do see She-Hulk. I mean, well, they go and they meet with the guy and they're like, we've got a superhero that needs costume and needs clothes and stuff.
They talk through a door.
Yeah. They're like, he's just one of the Avengers. And they're like, you got 15 minutes. And so they make an appointment and Nikki brings Jennifer to meet with the guy. And he's just like, oh my God. And I think he's more shocked at what she's wearing.
I think that's what the oh my God was.
Green. Right.
And Luke is a dick.
Oh, he totally is. But he's a very appropriate as of a clothing designer, the stereotype of what a clothing designer would be.
A lot of the stuff I've seen is oh my God, the MCU just introduced Edna.
Yeah, that was the other thing. He's compared to Edna Mode a lot. So Nikki is able to convince him to basically take She-Hulk on as a client, and he's like, I'll make us. What kind of superheroing do you do? And she's like, no, I need clothes. And she was saying,
I'm a lawyer. He's like,
yeah,
she's a lawyer.
Yeah. And she's talking about how she needs, and Nikki convinces him by saying, you've never dressed a Hulk before, and she needs clothes that would look good in both forms, in She-Hulk and in her, and he looks upon it as a challenge. He calls out, he's like, we're gonna need
cousin of the Hulk. Blood, yes, by blood.
Yeah. And then talks about the fact that he's like, I love that he calls out to an assistant, all of that stretch denim we're gonna need.
Stretch wool.
Or stretch wool, that's what it is. Stretch wool.
Yeah. We're gonna need a lot
of it, and
he's fondling like an armor suit next to him.
Yeah. So she does end up, she's talking, they're trying to figure out how the hell they're going to win this case. And one of the points that was brought up was that at the very beginning, She-Hulk even said that she doesn't want to be called that. She doesn't want to be called She-Hulk. She addressed it in the news. And then she realizes that her dating profile that she made as She-Hulk and that all of those dates was evidence that she had accepted the name and
was using the name
and was using it. And so all the guys that came in and that she dated came in and testified, including the doctor that she hooked up with at the end. Now, the interesting thing is that they showed, so it was actually a bummer. It was kind of a bummer because all of them were like, particularly the guy at the end is like, yeah, I mean, Jennifer's not my type, but She-Hulk.
Well, you see her. I mean, she's
and you see the look on her face.
Yeah, and she keeps smiling, but she just keeps.
Yeah, you can kind of like, oh God.
She's sinking down in the chair because she's like.
One of the subtle parts of the show that I really like is that showing how she's struggling with the fact that Jen, who's a cute woman, she's a successful in her career, she's attractive, she's intelligent, but in Los Angeles, she's just another face in the crowd. And but as She-Hulk, she's, stands out. She's gorgeous. She's green. She's got incredible hair. She's, all these things. And
can't get a hangover.
You can see her. Yeah. Can't get a hangover. You can see that she is struggling with that, with that whole kind of thing, and it's actually pretty cool to watch that duality here, her deal with that duality, deal with that two sides of the coin there that she's dealing with. And we also do see like the one guy that she went on a date with that was like called her a specimen, that asked her all questions about her powers. He showed up at the law offices too.
Yeah.
And in the court, we will see him again. I guarantee it. We'll see him again.
Yeah.
I think he's part of the intelligentsia, honestly.
Yeah, well, that was the thing. It was everyone thought that at first, and then they just show him up, and it looks like he's just this douchebag. So it's now well, is he going to show up again? And is he really part of that, or was he just a red herring and a douchebag?
Well, we'll see.
Yeah.
She did end up winning the court case because of that.
Yep.
And Titania was basically forced to recall all of her products and take them off production, and I think she still had to pay the court costs and everything, and
some damages too, I think.
Yeah, some damages. And she goes over to Jennifer. She goes, "This isn't over," and he walks off.
And she storms
and of course,
out. And then one of the guys that went out with Jen is hitting on her.
Yeah, it's like, hey, and then
hey, Titania, yeah, and she's like, "Fine, come buy me things.
You can buy me things." Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you see her, as she's exiting the courthouse. You can see Titania getting, doing a press conference or whatever. I thought it was it's just a brilliant episode. Really, really cool, and just shows more and more how cool the show is. And then we see her go back and get her clothes, because then she's like, "Oh, my clothes."
And at the same time, we see Luke taking a hat box and setting it over on the side, and then he goes to put the lid on, you see inside a yellow helmet,
a yellow and red helmet,
yellow and red helmet for Daredevil.
Yeah, and he says something to the effect of, "It's just sitting out like this," or whatever. It was like fucking cool. But you see, She-Hulk you can hear her. You don't get to see the clothes because they're gonna really show this later. But he did make a super suit for her. And but she also like a whole rack of clothes, and she's like trying things. And she goes, "Oh my god, this is so great!" And she's like, she's thrilled.
She's like, "I made you this bonus."
Right? Yeah.
And so, she's like, "Ooh," which we haven't seen that yet.
Haven't seen any of that stuff yet. So so that was that episode. Really great.
The one thing I will say, I just want to go back in this episode, because one of the things I thought was cool was when her and the lawyer, what's her name?
Mallory Book.
When they went out for drinks after they won the case.
Yeah.
And they're sitting there talking, and Jen's being her goofy self.
Yeah. Drinking.
And she makes a comment about, "I'm so glad we're friends now." And she went, "I don't believe I just said that, blah, blah, blah." And Mallory just looks at her and says, "You're too good for this."
Yeah.
Don't let people walk over you like that.
Right.
They cool. Actually get into it about what women have to go through.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it was pretty great. And in the comics too, Mallory Book currently in the comic books is her boss. Like, she's working for Mallory's like her law firm. And in the comics, Mallory was like, "I don't want to do any superheroic law. We're going to practice law, but no superheroes, no metahumans, no whatever, or superhumans, nothing. I don't want to see anything like that." And she's like, and at one point, Nightcrawler shows up from the X-Men, shows up in her office, and she's like, the current She-Hulk comic book is really good. And she's like, and he says to her, he goes, "We want to hire you." And she's like, "What do you mean?" "Krakoa wants to hire you for all of our legal shit, basically. So all of the entire mutant nation wants She-Hulk to represent them."
They wanted her to be their attorney general.
Yeah, pretty much, because there's tons of stuff. There's immigration things. There's trade negotiation. There's all kinds of different things that a burgeoning mutant nation needs help with legally. And she went, "Okay." And then Mallory goes to confront her again. She's like, "I thought I told you. You're dead." And then she's like, "You hired me. This is what we get. This is what we do. This is what we get." And she goes, and then she says, she goes to storm off, and she goes, "Krakoa wants to hire us." And then Mallory just stops and just looks and turns around and goes, "Yes." It's just like, yes. There's going to be so much money involved, And so, yeah. So Mallory Book has been one of those characters that has been at odds with Jen, but also been kind of a friend of hers, and always was kind of been like, "Look, you're a good lawyer. You're a really good lawyer. You're really capable. You don't have to be She-Hulk. That kind of thing. So kind of cool.
So then we get into the second episode, which is the wedding episode.
Or the sixth episode.
The sixth episode, yes.
Yeah, the second one we're dealing with tonight.
Yes, the second one we're dealing with tonight. Jen
the
gets
wedding
invited,
episode.
Yeah, Jen gets invited to a friend's wedding. It's an old friend.
From college.
Mm-hmm. And honestly, this episode pissed me off.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Because of the way that Jen is treated through the entire episode.
Oh, yeah. Now, personally, I thought it was really
I had
smart
to walk the fuck out long before anything happened.
But now, I like the fact that it was funny because she looked at it and she goes, it's a wedding episode. Doesn't it seem weird right here? Or does it seem weird and inconvenient right here? Well, that's the way weddings are. And it was just like, oh my God, that's so fucking smart, Because it is. Weddings are a pain in the ass. They're never convenient. So Jen is basically, not only does she going, she's standing up in the wedding.
Yes.
And not only does she get asked, she gets a package with like confetti and that she has no choice but to open, where the confetti goes everywhere. I'm like, what a shit. God, I wouldn't go. I'd say no just because of the goddamn package.
Yeah, so, you fucking glitter bomb me?
Yeah, fuck you. I'll go to your wedding now. Fuck, I'll go to the wedding and I'll eat a bunch of shit and I won't leave a gift. Fuck you. So anyway, she does go to the wedding, and she's like, yes, this is my old friend from college, and it looks to me that Jennifer was kind of in college. She was part of it was her sorority, and she was probably one of those girls that was put upon a little bit more. She was bullied maybe a little bit, or she was maybe not so much bullied, but taken advantage of. That her friends probably took advantage of her a little bit because she was a nice girl and she was smart and whatever else. And it looks like they still did that. Now, she did show up in her She-Hulk form, and they were like, ooh, and she looked amazing in the dress, and they were like, my God, your ass looks incredible. And because, she does. She's an ideal.
And then the bride shows up. It's like, you can't be like that. You can't upstage me.
Yeah. And she's like, don't worry. Everybody's going to be looking at you on your wedding day. And, I'm not going to be She-Hulk. It's going to be fun.
Yeah. No She-Hulk. And she changes back.
Right. So, but the thing is, she did do a take at the camera saying, you're damn right I was going to show up like this, because she did, right? She was like, wasn't going to show up because she needed to show up.
Yeah.
But so she's at the wedding, and who do we run into?
Titania,
who seems to be dating one of the groom's friends. And she's like, and Jen's like, she's only here to get to me. And then, the bride is like, Jen, no, she's dating this girl. And then she's dating this guy over here. And Titania's like, Jennifer, not everything's about you. And she's got this look on her face like, oh, bitch, it's about you. And we do see like over the weekend, basically, Jennifer, they're at this, resort.
She's constantly being asked to help clean up.
Yeah, clean up, iron things.
Oh, the guys all went out and did this. Here, iron all their shirts. You're on iron duty. You can iron all their shirts. I'm like, I'd be like, fuck you.
Yeah, I'm not fucking doing that.
They can iron their own goddamn shirts.
These motherfuckers can iron their own shirts. They're grown men. Things like that. So it did look like she was kind of being put upon. I think isn't there even a scene where she does Hulk up to do something? I can't remember, like carry things or something. I can't remember. Yeah,
she starts carrying. I think it's to help out with moving things or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. I can't remember. But eventually, and so now this is all going on over here. But then over here, we have Nikki working with Mallory Book on another case. And apparently, a superhuman who cannot die.
Oh, that was just
Mr. Immortal.
Yeah, Mr. Immortal.
Now, Mr. Immortal is a character in the Marvel Universe. He is a superhero whose only power, essentially, is that he can't die. If he dies, he resurrects. He comes back to life. And so he will do ridiculously crazy shit. Now, Mr. Immortal was part of what was originally the Great Lakes Avengers. Now, they were a group of superheroes. They were sea-level superheroes that took on the name the Great Lakes Avengers when the Avengers created their secondary team on the West Coast. The Avengers in New York, and then you had the West Coast Avengers in Los Angeles, led by Hawkeye. Hawkeye basically got fed up with some of the some bullshit he was dealing with the Avengers, and he went, you know what? I'm going to make my own team, and I'm going to go to LA. And he did. And the West Coast Avengers book ran for quite a long time.
Yep.
And they basically divided up the country. They said, all right, everything west of the Rockies we'll handle, and everything east of the Rockies you guys can handle. Well, at that time, a group of superheroes decided to create the Great Lakes Avengers, and it was Flatman, Doorman, Mr. Immortal, Dinosaur, and Big Bertha. Later, Squirrel Girl.
Some high quality heroes there.
Yes. Now, these characters were born of the 80s. Big Bertha, in particular, it was revealed she was a fashion model, like a high-paid runway fashion model. Yeah, Doorman. His ability was basically he could stand against a wall or flat surface and create a portal to the other side of that surface so that you could move through.
He was asking, is that like Kite Man? To an extent.
Arguably shittier than Kite Man. You had Flatman, who was a scientist, who was very similar to Reed Richards, but he, instead of being able to transform his body into all kinds of things, he could just become very flat. And he could stretch his body, but he was always just very flat. You had Dinosaur, who was like this reptilian human pteranodon. And then, of course, Big Bertha, who would go from this, thin, tall supermodel to being an immensely fat, super strong, and invulnerable woman. And they found out later on, it was established that the way she transforms back from Big Bertha to her normal form is that she purges. Yeah, it was pretty toxic. It was a joke that was made in the She-Hulk comics, or I know John Byrne drew it, but it was pretty fucked up.
Their first appearance was West Coast Avengers number 46.
Yep. So they showed up in the comics, and Hawkeye even led them for a while when he kind of broke away, when he had a falling out with the West Coast guys too, because Hawkeye was always getting pissed and like going like, "Screw you guys, I'm going home," kind of shit.
Detroit Coney Island Diner.
Yeah, they were the Great Lakes Avengers. They worked out of Detroit for a while, and then I think they moved over to Chicago. But yeah, it was kind of cool that they were this group of superheroes that operated out of the Great Lakes region. And eventually they were given a cease and desist that they couldn't call themselves the Great Lakes Avengers anymore. But yeah, Squirrel Girl did join the team for quite a while. Pretty cool. So anyway, this guy, Mr. Immortal, they've turned him into a character who basically was very old and immortal, and every time his marriage or relationship would start to fall apart, he would basically fake his own death and fake his own identity and move on and develop another relationship.
He wouldn't fake his own death. He'd actually die.
Though he'd actually die, right. And because he actually did die, even though he resurrected, it was considered, the marriage was null and void because he was dead. Now, a bunch of his former wives had gotten together to sue him because of what he was doing. Now, that was the other thing, though. He wasn't just, he was also taking on entirely new identities when this happened. So there was some fraud going on there. Now, they were able, but it was one of those kind of things that we saw an example, again, of this toxic masculinity, these various douchebaggery kind of things that guys do and can do. And it was an amazing example of it. And I man, it was so goddamn funny. And Nikki and Mallory got to work together, and Nikki got to show Mallory that she's a very capable paralegal and a very capable person. And it looks like Nikki has a bit of a crush on Mallory Book too. So that was a bit of a sideline, but it was really kind of funny about how they resolved it, how basically Nikki was able to go, okay, don't worry about it. I got you. Okay, you're going to get this and you're going to get that.
Sitting on the table.
Kid is going to get this. Yeah, well, she's sitting on the table. You and your kid are going to get this, and this over here, and this.
And
they're all like, yeah.
You get an apology with 15 seconds of eye contact. And he's, oh, that seems too much. 20 seconds.
No, 30 seconds. She doubled it.
Yeah,
30 seconds of eye contact. And he's just like, I mean, at one point, Mallory, it was funny earlier in the episode, Mallory and Nikki are just yelling at him like, wow, that's the shittiest thing, and whatever, da 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 da. And he just walks out the window.
Oh, he leaps out the window.
Falls to his death. Now, the funny thing is you can't do that. Most buildings like that, those sky rises like that, that have windows like that, you can't just break. You got to. It takes some serious force to break.
Yeah, but it fit the story.
Like but it did. So then later on, it goes back to the wedding, and we do see Jen meet a cool guy, because she finds out, oh, she's going to walk down the aisle with Jonathan. Oh, Jonathan, he's so great. That's the guy. Yeah, she sees Jonathan, and it's the fucking bride's teacup fucking like chihuahua.
Yeah,
that looks like he's got a bullet, got some kind of head wound. He's just like
strung out on fucking heroin.
Something.
It's a chihuahua strung out on heroin.
But then she does meet this guy that is kind of cool and flirts with her and seems like as Jennifer, not as She-Hulk. And even though he knows she's She-Hulk. And because she does say something about, oh, you should see my She-Hulk hair. It's so great and stuff like that. And then finally, Titania, like he gets called off to help out with something. And she's like, okay, I'll see you later. And Titania sucker punches her.
Yeah.
Now, Titania's superhuman. She could have killed Jennifer like that. She probably could have killed her, but she didn't. She wanted a fight. And she's like basically begging her to Hulk out. She's like, it's just no fun if you're not green. And she goes, I knew it. I knew you were here for me. She goes, of course I am. I told you this wasn't over, and she's like, come on. And you can see Titania's like, God, spoiling for this.
And she smacks her a few times.
She hits her, knocked her for like a loop, basically. And like those blows probably would have killed a normal person. And so finally, like, she's like, I loved it. Joke's sitting on the ground. She's like, fine, I'll do it. And she goes, and she starts to change, and then she shifts back, and she's like,
"Oh, I forgot how to do it."
I forgot how to do it.
Because she was drunk.
Yeah, because that's the thing. It shows her like, because it's a fucking pay bar too.
Yeah.
This wedding is not a fucking. It's a cash bar, so she keeps throwing down like $12, because she's tipping.
Yeah.
It's a $10 drink and $2 tips. I'm like, that's cool of her. And so, and you can see her, she's getting drunk. And she's like, yeah, forget it. Oh yeah. And then she transforms right as she's gonna hit her again. And she does the Hulk stomp and sends like a seismic shot through the ground and fucks up all the tile, which I'm like, well, that's gonna be expensive, and sends Titania flying back into the room. And then we get to see a fight.
Yep.
Not a long one, but a much better fight between She-Hulk and Titania than the fight in the courtroom, which was nothing, really.
With one punch.
It was one punch, essentially. And so, yeah, we even see the slow motion, like, ooh, She-Hulk punches like Titania. And that's the thing, too, because Titania obviously knows how to fight, because She-Hulk, she swings a couple of times. Titania, they're ducking and weaving and bobbing and stuff like that. And She-Hulk lays a couple, pretty solid ones on, and then Titania like face plants I think she slips and falls actually, and she face plants, and then she gets up and her teeth are all fucked up.
Yeah.
Point of order, Chris. And she's like, oh, my veneers. And you're like, all right, bitch, listen. This is the fault of the writers and the director and the editors. She took a shot to the mouth. She took a punch in the teeth from She-Hulk, and it didn't fuck up the veneers. She falls face down onto the tile floor, and she gets up and her teeth are fucked up. What the actual fuck, Chris?
She-Hulk loosened it at first, and then she fell, and
that pissed me off, okay? Not the way that her friends treated her, okay? That was to push the story forward. The fact that Titania's teeth were not fucked up from the punch, but they were fucked up from the fall. Come on, guys, do better. That was some bullshit.
Yeah. Stinkerface says, which Bob says, Titania's weakness is tile.
Thank you, Bob. Got my back. Appreciate you. Ceramic tile.
Yeah. So we get that, and the bride's all pissed off, and
she walks in, and the bride's drunk too.
Yeah. And she just looks at her and goes, eh.
And she goes, She-Hulk's in my wedding.
Yeah.
And she just hugs her.
Yeah.
Because she hugs her. I'm sorry. She sucker punched me. And she's just like, yeah, She-Hulk's at my wedding. And hugs her. And I was just like, oh my God. That's a wedding I would want to go to right there, honestly.
I don't know. There were too many douches there. I mean,
there were a few douches.
I mean, I wouldn't have liked either the bride or groom side of that thing. I'd have been that guy talking with Jen if I wasn't married.
Now, see, my guess that guy he's going to be a bad guy.
I have a feeling he is too. I think he's a setup, and I think that's part of this whole thing. That
we did also learn in this episode a little bit more about the intelligentsia and about how they have on their website. Once you become a member, you see a lot of the things that they're putting about, like death threats towards Jennifer Walters.
Yeah, Nikki found all that out.
Nikki found all that stuff. And at first, Mallory was like, don't tell her. She doesn't need to know. She's already under enough pressure. And then Nikki sent her a voicemail saying, yeah, you need to check this. This needs to be on your radar. You need to check this out.
Yeah, what I think we're going to see in the last few episodes, because we got 3 episodes left.
That. I believe so. Yeah, 7, 8, 9. So now I believe I'm guessing the next episode we are actually going to see her. We're going to see the Abomination again. I think we're going to see her go to his
retreat.
His retreat. So that should be awesome. Personally, I'm looking forward to that. It is getting late, Chris. It's after 10 o'clock.
We should wrap up.
This one went a little longer tonight. Guys, thanks for joining us tonight.
We had a lot to catch up on.
We did. We had a lot to catch up on. I wasn't here last week, so it is good to be back. Thanks for being patient with us, guys, and being patient with me. I am super busy. But
you're not the only one, dude.
Yeah, we are super, super duper busy. Guys, thanks for joining us again. Like I said, and you can find us in all the places you can find quality podcasting. Guys, we're on Spotify, we're on Stitcher, we're on iHeartRadio, radio.com, Odyssey, we're on iHeartRadio, we're on, of course, the Google Play Store, and of course, iTunes. Be sure to check us out. Guys, you can also download and stream all of our episodes at nerdswithalcoholshow.com.
Yep. You can follow us on most of the social medias. We're on Facebook, nerdswithalcoholshow.com. Or I'm sorry, Nerds with Alcohol Show. We are on Instagram and Twitter at Drinking Nerds. You can see that down below Russ over there. We are on YouTube, Drinking Nerds, which is also underneath Russ and myself. You can follow me specifically on Twitter at Detroit Beer Guy. Russ, I should actually change yours to yours now that you actually have a Twitter handle.
I'm Top Hat Russ on Twitter.
What a surprise!
Yeah, what a surprise! I'm also Top Hat Russ on Instagram.
Cal Surprise.
It's my line, man.
I had to steal it.
Right.
But yeah, thanks for joining us, guys. We will be back here 7:30 on Friday. Well, most of us will be back here on 7:30 at 7:30 on Friday. Russ might be a little late because he usually is. So
I got work, man. It's crazy. All right. Yes. This Friday, Tavern Knights, guys, check us out. Playing.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good time.
D&D. Good.
It's gonna be a very good time. We're picking up right from Klimbrum's Nightmare.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Last episode, if you didn't catch it, we got to meet Marikaris's family, my character's family. Got to meet
more of your family because we already met your sister. Family.
That's right. We met my parents. We met some of the other people that Marikaris kind of grew up with. We he went home basically.
Yep.
We also met Lauka's family as well, and it was a pretty awesome episode. Pretty awesome game that night. But who else did we meet? We met like Octavian went home as well, but that was not anything. I mean, we'd met his parents before. But it was a lot of fun, really cool episode. So really cool.
And then we got to see some stuff going on over in the Temple of the Open Mind and some stuff going on in Phandalin. And actually, I've given Pete a little bit more about what he's found out because he was the only one that stayed in Phandalin. So he actually was working with Raslim on some things. So he'll have a little bit more info for you guys this week as well. Because you guys have only been back together for a couple of days, and you really haven't like debriefed on what's been going on. So.
Exactly. So, but thanks again, guys. We gotta go.
Yeah. So I think that's gonna about do it. So
that should do it.
On that note.
Until next time.
Slancha.
That
was pretty good.
Not bad.
All right. Have a good week, everybody.
Good night.